Welcome to another episode, everyone. Jeremy Meeks. Y'all remember that guy, my hot felon? His picture went viral for being some hot guy. And he also went to prison. And it was hell there for him in prison. In fact, he has a hell of a life story. But for now, let's just get into his prison experience. He rarely does interviews, so many people couldn't believe that this individual here, Matthew Cox, was able to get him to sit down and actually do an interview. But he did. This is just a part of it, of his prison experience when he went to prison, San Quentin. Check this out.
And so I don't know if all my people are shot or what, but once the shooting stops, then I come back around. And as soon as I come back around, I had gold ones, tops and bottom, my gold teeth. And they were like laying in the drive-through. They had fell out of my pocket. And they ran them over. Like my folks, Jay got hit in the face with a ricochet. It bounced off the ground and hit him in his lip. And like a big slug was melted outside of his lip. And when he pulled it out, you could see his tooth. Luckily, it didn't knock his tooth out. But
so there's a hole.
Yeah, there was.
In his lip.
Yep, it healed now. I get hit. And then 3 days later is our hood day for my neighborhood. And so we're playing basketball and we're barbecuing. And like,
haven't you been shot? Aren't you in the aren't you in the hospital?
No, I'm on the run. And so I never went to the hospital because anytime you're shot or stabbed, they have to call the police. And so
it seems like this would be an opportune time to go ahead and be okay with that. Like, I mean, it didn't hit any organs. I mean,
no, it was all hips and legs. And so my homie's mom, my homie Rip, his mom was an RN. Registered nurse, and so she took care of me and cleaned me up and gave me antibiotics and painkillers and muscle relaxers, and she made sure I was good. Maybe 10 days later, I get caught by the Brown Street Northerners, who we had been at war with. And they caught me walking, and fuck, they fucking destroyed me with baseball bats. Damn, they beat the shit out of me. To the point where, and kudos, I took my hat, y'all got me. It was rough though, because they just like beat in my back. Because at first I'm fighting and I'm, doing what I can. But once you start hearing them pinks and you feel it and you're like, ain't shit I could do about this. And so you kind of just gotta take it for what it is. And so once I like curled up and fetaled up because I'm catching two bats from different angles, they beat my back until I pissed blood for probably 10 days because my kidneys were so fucked up. And I'm talking like pissing out thick, clotted blood that fucking burns because it's so thick and it's like popping all over the back of the toilet. That shit was rough. And that's probably the one that I should have went to the hospital for, to be honest. And I didn't. It put me down for probably a week. And then I was in juvenile hall maybe a week after that. On my 18th birthday. They came and got me at 12 o'clock.
Who?
County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For what?
Because I'm now going to county jail. I'm an adult.
Oh, okay.
And so I just did a lot of time in juvenile hall. Tons of stuff,
It's up to like 22 or something. Like you stay in juvie up to I think 21 or 22.
Well, yeah, the laws have changed now. In California, it's 25. Oh. And so if you hold a juvenile case, they can keep you up to 25. But this is in the early 2000s. And so they came and got me, and I'm in San Quentin. Well, really, I was in county jail for maybe 3 weeks.
How much time did you have?
Well, no, you cannot stay in juvenile hall in California until you're 25 years old, unless things have changed. Until you're 18-year-old, they can hold you as a juvenile, but you would go to CYA or whatever as a juvenile until you're 25 years old. But inside of the halls in juvenile hall, no one. There are no 25-year-olds running around there. Okay, so he's had a rough life, as I said. I didn't realize I went that far back before he starts talking about prison right here, which he's about to do right now, heading to San Quentin. But that's just a glimpse into some of the things that he's already been into. Shot up or whatever, beat with bats. Say they beat his back in. You can see him sort of reminiscing about it, and it's still very traumatic, it looks like, understandably. In fact, throughout the interview, I only saw a few clips of it here or there just now, but looks like he's just in turmoil or ready to cry almost. The way he's speaking, he's calm, he's very articulate, but he's also reflecting, and you can see it in his face often that it looks like he's been through some things. I didn't know that he was in a gang. Clearly he is, or he was, to the point that he was so heavily involved in the gang that, as he said, they started beating him with bats, caught him going up the street, started beating him with bats. This is after he had been shot in just his legs and his thighs, he said, no major arteries, so he did not even go to the hospital. A week or so later, he gets caught up walking down the street, they bum rush him and beat him down with bats. Oh, man. To the point where he's urinating blood for a week or so. Nasty work.
They gave me 3.5. So altogether, I've done like almost 11 years, but it was all broken up.
Well, what were you doing time for at that time?
It was robberies that was dropped down to like grand thefts of persons.
Okay. Okay.
And so, yeah, there was really, I think what actually sent me to prison was my gang affiliation, to be honest. I'm in county jail and we are going to war with numerous Hispanic gangs. And I meet this white dude who is in the tier. He was fighting a life sentence. He had tattoos all over his face. He was a Nazi lowrider. He was having some issues with some guys and ran down on someone with this big knife and needed somewhere to store it, and he slid it under my door, panicked. I held it, and he came and brought me some and we built like this little rapport. It was like a weird friendship, like a little black crip with this Nazi lowrider with swastikas. And anyways, they gave him life. And my first bus ride to San Quentin, he was on the bus. And so we go through R&R. And this is my first time going through R&R where I'm just in reception getting processed. And so after you get processed, they have like this little yard that you go on, where like the mainline yard, people that are already doing time in that prison can see you through the fence and they all come up and talk to you. And so I see him and like we see each other and he like calls me over and we meet kind of in the middle and everyone's kind of looking to see what's about to happen. And he was just expressing that I was a good little youngster and to keep my head up and to be careful. And he knows I had never been in prison.
Right.
But obviously no one knows what the hell we're talking about. And so we shook hands and he gave me like this little half hug because they was going to send him to C Unit. And I was going to end up going to West Block.
Is that helping you or hurting you?
It didn't do anything for me.
Okay.
They ended up stabbing him, which I felt bad for. But I honestly don't know if it was because of us meeting up in the middle and having that conversation or the half hug, or I don't know. It might have been his jacket. It might have been his background. Who knows? I just remember walking in holding all of.
I would say that more than likely that was something other than the hug. I mean, it's very racial, racist, if you will, in prison. Everyone is separated, divided, all of the ethnicities. We all have our sides of the day room, the tables that we sit at on the yard, and the tables that the other races sit at. The workout equipment, they have theirs, we have ours. They have their basketball court, we have our basketball court, etc. And, it's not often that you see the racists communicating with one another, particularly out in the middle of the yard or hugging one another and this sort of thing. But it does happen. I've been very cool with Southsiders, with whites there inside of prison. And if I wanted to hug one of them, say what's up, shake their hand and half hug them or whatever, we can do. That's allowed. But that's us. That's our side. I'm not certain of what their politics are, other races as it relates to that. Nevertheless, I do know that they're not going to stab you up for hugging or half hugging or speaking on the yard with another race to another black. It's not that racial in there. I mean, we can communicate. We do communicate. We do business together, all of this stuff. So I doubted that was the reason.
Of my beddings and belongings. And when you walk into West Block, there's 5 tiers, and each tier has 100 cells. And so just imagine, just thinking about it has me like,
I see Shawshank Redemption, the multiple tiers.
yeah.
And it was built back in what?
It was built in 1856.
Oh my God.
And so even in R&R, there's pictures of people being released from San Quentin where they're giving you a horse, a rifle, and a bag of gold. That's how old it is.
You're going to get none of that now. They're giving you what, a bus ticket? $50.
And so I remember walking in. There's like balls of fire, people lighting fire. And when I first went there, they had Broadway. And so they had bunks out on the tier, which was very illegal. The feds ended up busting them for it. That's another story.
This is for overcrowding.
Yeah. And so there's like people out on the tier, sleeping on bunks and gambling and shooting dice and doing tattoos. And this is back when they still had tobacco and everyone's smoking. There's people climbing up the tiers. Like I'd never seen nothing like it in my life. There's fishing lines everywhere. People tying lines together with weights and shooting it from the first tier up to the 4th, asking for assistance. Can I get assistance? From 347 up to, and then boom, they'll take the line and shoot it down, and then he'll shoot it up and he'll shoot it over. And it's like lines shooting everywhere and gun top, like.
It's a jungle, right?
It was like nothing I had ever experienced. And as soon as you get there, you have everyone coming up to the cell, like, where you from? And like me, 18, I think I need to like prove a point.
Okay.
I think I need to like go into this super aggressive. This is my mind state, in San Quentin. San Quentin is ran by the Kumis, 415. It's a prison gang within the California prison system. Kumi is Swahili for 10. 4 + 1 + 5 is 10. And so it's a massive, massive prison gang.
This is a black prison gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't get along with Crips. And so I get to San Quentin, and every single night they do a shutdown. The inmates do. And so it's like, West Block, it is now 10:30. We ask for your cooperation and participation in shutting tonight's program down. We ask that if you do not have matters that are of the utmost importance, we ask that you sit on them to tomorrow. Front bar, pay respect to the back bar. Back bar gives respect to the front bar. To all my African brothers, Ije Ma'un Sikun. And then all the blacks, hundreds and hundreds of blacks, you just roar, Ije Ma'un Sikun. To all the Mexicans, Buenos noches. Then all the Mexicans, Buenos noches. And to all Woods and all others, good night.
Yeah, and of course, Njema Usiku just means good night in Swahili, and this is the language that many brothers speak behind the walls, particularly in the SHU program, Security Housing Unit. Is mandatory in some places that you learn Swahili. This is how we speak over the tier, and even inside of kites/letters, we speak a different language so as the police cannot catch on to our discussions. And there is a shutdown, and there's different places that run it differently. For the most part, your own race has to shut down for you and your people. Like there will be a black saying goodnight in Njema Usiku to all of the blacks. The blacks yell back in unison in Njema Usiku, as he just alluded to. And, you know, the Southsiders do their thing, the whites do their thing, etc. But, you know, I guess there are some situations where one individual will get up there on one day and shut it down for everyone. You know, it just depends on the situation, depends on the prison. But for the most part, you're going to shut it down yourself. But yeah, it is a jungle in there. I can imagine walking in there, seeing those fishing lines everywhere, people over here shooting dice, people over here working out, people over here ready to fight, stab, kill. And you're 18 years old walking into that sort of environment, it will be shocking to anyone's soul. Perhaps now we can understand more why he speaks the way that he does, where he feels sort of saddened. But he's free now. He has life. He has another chance. I am interested to know what he is doing with his life now. I didn't know that he was a Crip. He was a Crip and has been through a lot on the street. And then when he got to prison, he went through some things in there. Fortunately, he did not have a lot of time, 3 years with half, but one day in there is one day too many.
Night. And then it's pitch quiet. And then no one can say anything all night. And if you do, the prison gangs are going to take care of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I end up getting into it with the Kumis because the Bay Area slang, they say blood a lot. And I'm a Crip. And so a lot of them don't do it out of disrespect. That's how they speak.
Are they calling you a blood?
Well, they just say blood. What's up, blood? What's up, blood? I don't know.
They don't mean.
No, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But in my mind, I'm 18 and no one's going to call me a blood. I'm very immature. I'm very immature and I'm hard-headed. And
can I ask you a quick question? Are you scared during this time when you walk in there?
Of course. I think
it sounds like it's like it's a terror, you know, like it's an absolute, like I'd be terrified walking.
1,000%.
Because these guys are clearly running the establishment. Like the guards are in their a lot of the office.
A lot of the guards are part of Kumi too. Also, they make sure they got the knives, they got they got the drugs, they got the phones. Because it's all a Bay Area thing. It's like they have uncles and cousins, and they're all from the Bay Area.
Yeah. So you get into it.
Yeah.
Because of they keep saying, "What's up, blood?"
Well, it was just this, it was that, it was a bunch of issues, and
well, it doesn't seem like that doesn't seem like the gang or in general just to be the association to be getting into it with, like,
well,
you know,
also
can that go bad?
Not when there's very few of us and hundreds of them, you know, and so. Again, like a lot of the issues that I had didn't even have to be what it was, you know, right. To be honest. I realize now that I made life. Now when I think about it, when I think life is what you make it.
Yeah.
I realized I made it a lot harder than it should have ever been. But yeah, I had a lot of issues, a lot of fights, a lot of self fights, a lot of stabbings, a lot of
How long does this first bid last?
3 years. And so my first mainline prison was Soledad. Sorry, my insides are like, I'm thinking about all this.
You know, because you don't really talk about this.
Yeah, so my very first cell that I walked into in Soledad is fucking Danny Trejo's old cell because it has that huge fucking drawing on the wall that's still there.
He knew Charles Manson.
That was my next door neighbor. Charles Manson was my next door neighbor. That's a whole nother.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, in Old Corcoran. I did a shoot term in Old Corcoran, and he was my next door neighbor. So
Yeah.
yeah,
He was tiny little guy, right?
yeah, very racist.
Yeah. Why he was
First person I've ever seen that was getting like duffel bag, army size duffel bags of mail. Monday through Friday. Yeah, but did some years in prison. A lot of riots.
What are you doing in a riot? Like, I mean, if
It's not about what you're doing. So
I'm saying, if you're not in the riot.
Oh, for sure.
Or do you guys go to the yard knowing, hey, we have an issue with these guys?
And so sometimes it does.
Or is it just these guys, this popping off with these two groups here having an issue, and you're just standing back like with your...
So I've been in 6 mass riots between blacks and whites, blacks and Hispanics, really blacks and Southerners. Yeah, one time I was in Soledad, and I didn't know that my older sister had come to visit me. And before they could call my name over the PA system, we get into a riot with the Southerners. They locked the whole prison down for 10 hours. So in California, I don't know how it is out here, but in California, they have warnings, like no warning shots painted everywhere. And so if they see anyone with a knife, they could shoot you with a mini 14 tumbler round.
Is that lethal? It can be.
No, it's a tumbler. You can get shot in your shoulder and it comes out your knee.
Oh, okay.
It's like it tumbles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in California.
Yes, and there are absolutely no warning shots. And as he alluded to, it's painted everywhere. You go outside into the day room. There's a big square box with red writing inside of the box that says, no warning shots. You go outside, it's right there on the yard, painted against a building. It's right under the gun tower. It says no warning shots. You go inside of the chow hall, the kitchen. It says no warning shots. It's letting you know that if you get into it and you have a weapon, they are shooting you. And when they shoot, they're shooting to shoot you. They're not shooting in the dirt to give you a warning to put it down. There are no warning shots. Nothing but headshots. That's it. It's an ugly situation, man.
Missing legs and missing arms from the gun tower. We get into a riot, and we kind of knew it was coming within 30 minutes, not ahead of time. But my sister was in the visiting room, and they locked her in for 8 hours. And every time the yard would lay down, because they're shooting the block gun, 40 millimeters.
What are you doing? Trying to stay out of the way, or?
And so I could never be one of those types. It's like, I ain't scared of shit. It's like, no.
Yeah.
That shit's scary. It's like a domino effect. It's like everyone has a knife in everyone. And mind you, after Soledad, it was the only level 3 that I've been to. And so after that, I was all level 4, which is usually where all the lifers are.
Right.
Just because of my points had kicked up.
Is it locked? You're locked down most of the time in those, or no? Or is there a lot of yard times?
No, you still got a lot of yard time.
Okay.
You know, it's definitely not as much as a lower level. It's just a lot more serious. You know, it's like, especially when you have a date and a lot of people around you don't have dates. And
so you said there was a riot and they locked it down for 10 hours. It's funny because I was in the medium security prison in Coleman, and there would be whatever. I don't know if there was a full blown riot, but let's say it was a riot or a couple gangs go at each other, but it's not really, this doesn't go up for hours. This is 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Still, they break it apart. But of course they call recall. And it was funny because that would happen at whatever, 1 in the afternoon, and dinner, then it comes dinner time. You know, they do what, a 4 o'clock count, and then it's dinner, and they let everybody out. Like, there are guys stabbing each other in the yard 4 hours ago, 5 hours ago. They let you right back out, and then that night, everything's not, it's not open. You go back to, you either go to the yard or back to the units, because it was a controlled movement compound. But then the same thing would happen when I went to the low. You'd be locked up for 4 days, because in the low, it was such a big deal. It was like, what's happening? Like, that's it. But at the medium, they were so kind of used to it. It's like, we're not going to be doing bag lunches. We're not going to have these guys locked up for 4 days. Fuck that. Go to go to main line, turn around, come back, go to the unit. Like, so I'm wondering, you're saying they were locked down for 10 hours. Like, they're so used to this happening.
well, no, I'm saying
Yeah, because they're all different. The prisons are different. You have some prisons, particularly back in the days, that were absolutely just like he described. Stabbings, beatings, bloodshed there on the yard, and you go inside of your cell or dorm just for a little while, and then they release program again, yard time or child time or whatever, because they understood that, locking everyone down is not necessarily going to curb the violence. If someone has an issue, it's going to be resolved. It'll just be resolved when you let us off lockdown. So you might as well go and let us off and let us get it over with. That started to change some, though, years ago, where they want to know what the issue was. They want to make sure that the issue is resolved before they let you off lockdown. Send the shot callers around to speak to you. And what was the issue? Okay, can we resolve it? Can we handle it? They want to get the individual off of the yard that may have started the issue, because they want to curb the violence. So things have changed drastically, though some of these things still happen, of course. But it's hard now, if there is a stabbing, particularly a killing, but even a stabbing, for you to just go on lockdown and then come off a couple of hours later like nothing ever happened, because they want to send people around to speak to you. You got to go back, talk to the lieutenant. Yeah, everything's cool. I talk to everybody, all that. It's a process now. They fear that if they just let you back off lockdown and they don't know what the issue was and they haven't resolved any issue, then the issue may continue on, which, of course, it may indeed.
Locked the family members that were in the visiting room.
She was locked up for 8 hours.
She was locked in the visiting room we were on the yard for 8 hours.
Okay.
Because
Did they lock after that? Did they lock the whole compound down for weeks or a day?
yeah, well, you got to understand, in California, so on that one, we were locked down. Okay, so they locked her in there for 8 hours. Boom, she doesn't know what happened. She then finds out that 2 weeks later, we're getting off lockdown. But while we were on lockdown, a white Crip hit the yard. I want to say his name. I should.
What?
From Riverside. I won't even say the neighborhood. It's all good.
And I thought there were white Crips.
No, for sure. No, there's white Crips.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, so what happens, and I can only speak for California prisons, when certain people hit the yard, we got Mexican Crips, we got white Crips, we got all kind of different. And a lot of times it will start a war. And so now we got to figure out who you are. Who's your homies? Are you reputable? Are you worth going to war for? Are you solid?
Right.
And he was very solid. And so everyone knows when we get out, the Aryans, it's against their bylaws, their structure, to allow any white to walk the yard that's not up under their umbrella. And so I'm not knowing that getting off lockdown, my sister's in the visiting room again. And I still don't even know she came the first time. And we got into another riot. Whites against Crips. Really was blacks, but the Crips led it because it was involving us. But a lot of times in California, when there's riots, there's mass riots, they'll flip the yard. And I think that's one of the good things about California is that because of the way that the gang structures are and the politics, that once shit goes bad, they'll bring in buses and they'll just take everyone out and flip in a whole new,
So they take all those people, they send them to they break up everything. They send them to different prisons, bring other people from.
Yeah, they'll leave like a small core usually. So it all depends, to be honest. The correctional officers in California are the ones who manipulate all of the violence. They get hazard pay anytime an alarm goes off. And so they make sure that the alarms
Or staying off.
or stay going off, in a controlled way, But I'm very grateful for it. I grew up in prison. I walked in a boy and, all of my etiquette, all of my respect, all of my everything that I learned how to conduct myself as a man. A lot of that came from prison and people that I met in prison.
Yeah.
It really taught me how to conduct myself and how to have morals and how to lead with my compass and, my word is everything and, a solid handshake and all the stuff that I wasn't taught from my father. Right. I learned either from my older homie or in prison, walking the yard with older homies.
So being polite and respectful you realize goes a long way.
Yeah, but that's prison.
Yeah.
It's all about respect. You don't respect one person and see what happens.
So when you get out that time, you go right back to the neighborhood?
I was getting out and going right back.
And that's exactly what it is. If you just, as I've said many times here on the channel, the Inside Story with me, Damian Porter, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. If you disrespect even one person there in prison, you can lose your life. In prison, respect is the number one rule. You must respect everyone there, even if you think this individual is funny or funny looking or unworthy of your respect for whatever reason you have deemed him so. And then anything can be taken as disrespect. Nearly anything. That's the other problem with prison, particularly these level 4 yards. Everyone is polite, very polite. Excuse me. How you doing? Give you a firm handshake. It's just, they just on man time. And you may think that some of these reasons that these prisons explode are unworthy of violence, and oftentimes I agree. But violence still happens because someone felt slighted or somehow disrespected, one way or another. There you have it, Jeremy Meeks there, the hot felon, say he was involved in 6 riots. And of course, a white Crip hits the yard, brought you some of those situations. There's always going to be a war for the most part because they are going to want him removed from the yard. And that automatically involves every black, every Crip when one of these individuals hit the yard because you have to protect him. You have to defend that individual. I mean, he's now one of you, essentially. Okay, but there you have it. Let me know if y'all want me to continue with this interview. I'll do another part to it because it looks like his story is pretty interesting. Looks like he went back to prison, he's about to say. In fact, yeah, he had to have, right? Because he said he did about 11 years total in there. In this situation, he only had 3 years with half. So it looks like he just asked the question, well, when you got out, did you go back to your neighborhood immediately? Or he said he went right back to the hood. So it looks like he probably went back to the hood and ended up back in prison. I probably would want to play his situation from the beginning. I mean, do want to know exactly what it is that he's doing now, how his life has taken a turn, and if he's successful, he's clearly free and has been through a lot, and I'm sure is done with that life and that lifestyle. I want to know. I would like to hear him say that, if he still is a gang member or not, if he's still hanging out in his hood or not. When is the last time he went to prison? When is the last time he got out of prison? And just what is his mindset now? What is his perspective now as it relates to gangs, the gang culture, street life, the street culture, prison culture? What is your mindset now? Are you done with the streets? Are you out of the streets? Have you started a business? You have family? What's going on with your life now? Are you done with that lifestyle? Because we all know that it leads to nothing but prison and or death. That's really all that this lifestyle leads to. But again, I didn't even know that he was a gang member. He said he's a Crip. Was or is. That's the question. I don't know. But that's an individual, and a lot of us who've been through prison have been in prison have been through a lot. You can see it come out oftentimes just in the conversation in one way or another, the pain that some individuals feel, even though out of prison now, when reflecting upon it anyway, it's going to bring back memories that will stir your soul, because clearly it had to have been the worst time of your life, because prison is beset with violence and misery. There's no way that you will be able to just overcome it overnight, freedom or not. You have to do the work to get over some of that torture that you've went through. Yeah. Perhaps and hopefully Jeremy Meeks here has done the work and is continuing to do the work and will get out and be successful and an asset to our community and not a liability. That's my aspiration, to be an asset to the community and not a liability, as I have been all of my life. Hoping to turn it around now and do something more positive. Hopefully he's on the same page. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.